And I'll tell you, when you have a crowd like this, if you can't get into this is what you play for, this is what you coach for, this is what you wait for from the minute you go to training camp. And this is football. When you got steam coming out of your head and your mouth, now you're talking football. And you're controlling that offensive line. This is what it's all about.
And you guys know we absolutely could not do this show without acknowledging the passing of a sports icon, John Madden. The legendary coach and broadcaster, he died at the age of 85, and tributes poured in all over the sporting world, none shining brighter than the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders owner Mark Davis lit the torch inside Allegiant Stadium to honor Madden, who declared that the fire that burns the brightest in the Raiders organization is the will to win. Madden was the head coach of the Raiders, and only the Raiders during his time on the sidelines. He still holds the record for the most wins in Raiders history. But his impact, it went well beyond the scope of coaching. He's widely regarded as one of the best to ever sit in the broadcast booth and call a game. And his name is associated with one of the very best-selling video game franchises of all time. More of that in just a moment. Between these three different pillars of success, he's really remembered differently depending on your generation. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the video game franchise. But for sports analyst Eric Mitchell, it's his time in the broadcast booth.
Every memory I have of watching John Madden, because I'm not going to age myself, but I never saw him coach in person. But watching him in the booth is all my fondest memories of growing up as a diehard 49er fan. Listening to John Madden and Pat Summerall call games was, you could watch them talk about people walking out to the parking lot, putting groceries away, and I'd listen all day long. John Madden made the game fun. He made it entertaining, and it's where we're at today with the voices we have on air today. He is the future. I mean, we talk about Al Michaels, who's still on air. John Madden is just amazing. The way he called the game gave you the insight you never had. He was truly like the Einstein of football.
And Eric, Madden called so many iconic games and moments. Is there a particular moment that really sticks out to you throughout his whole career?
You know, it's not a broadcasting thing that sticks out for John. It's when John Madden was once again trying to get into the Hall of Fame. This is back when he finally got in, I believe in 2005. Watching him and hearing the story, how he sat in a room and said maybe next year. Remember, he was passed over for 22 years getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as John Madden, the coach, one of the greatest coaches ever to coach on the gridiron. And he sat there and was the humble warrior, the humble guy going, I'll just get it next year. Because he wanted to be remembered as a coach, not a broadcaster, not as an e-sport icon. He wanted to be known as the coach because this is what he did. Remember, this is a guy who walked up to Lester Hayes out of Texas A&M back in '76 and said, oh, by the way, you're going to be a cornerback. Lester had already moved from linebacker to safety while he was at A&M. And he's like, I don't want to do this, begged John to do it. And that year, Lester was the Defensive Player of the Year. So this is a guy who wants to be remembered as a coach. And there isn't a player out there that doesn't look at John that way. So all of John's calls, every Super Bowl he did, of course, anything he was doing with the 49ers and calling Jerry Rice breaking records, those are the games I remember. But the Thanksgiving games, come on, the 6 turkeys on the 6 turkey legs, that's always a good memory.
And back to the video game franchise. Did you know that Madden NFL has sold over 130 million copies of the game to date, generating more than $4 billion in total revenue? Now, its path to this huge franchise actually has a really interesting backstory. The coach was actually EA's third choice to be the face of the game behind Joe Montana and then Cal coach Joe Kapp. EA finally approached Madden. They offered him as much stock as he wanted, and he declined, which he said was one of the dumbest things I ever did in my life. But it's not all bad news, in fact, for the coach. He did agree on a whopping $150 million deal with the company to use his name and likeness, along with annual royalties in 2005. All in all, the game appeared on more than 30 different platforms. Go ahead. Look at it. This is all the games over the years. The game was called John Madden Football until the NFL added its name to the game back in 1993. That version, also the first to feature a familiar catchphrase, EA Sports, it's in the game. In 2000, EA began using popular players on covers. And just a hunch, we could also see the coach return to the cover for next season's edition. EA Sports paid tribute to Madden Online. His knowledge of the game was second only to his love for it and his appreciation for everyone that had ever stepped on the gridiron, a humble champion, a willing teacher, and forever a coach. He will be greatly missed, always remembered, and never forgotten. Another did you know about John Madden? Not only is he in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but also is his bus, the Madden Cruiser. Many people did know Madden did not like to fly. He even talked about it during his broadcast career. Here's what he said about it. He said, "I'm not afraid of flying. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I think I'm vulnerable. I admit it. I don't fly. I got claustrophobia. I don't go in high buildings. I don't do those things." So he got a bus, which he took all around the country, which was converted to the Madden Cruiser in 1987. And then in 2018, that cruiser was donated to the Hall of Fame, restored to its original glory. Inside, you got 2 televisions, a phone, built-in vacuum cleaner, a private bedroom, bathroom, and even a kitchenette.
If you knew John, you knew that he was very well read, in tune with things that were going on around the world. And a lot of it, I think, had to do with John traveling for all of those years in a bus. Couldn't get on a plane. He was claustrophobic. So he got around the country, and he would see parts of the country that everybody else in this business never sees, and connect to people and go to the coffee shops and the candy stores and places you would never go. And John had that connection to people. And I think that's also part of what made him such a fantastic commentator.
And a fantastic person. You might associate John Madden and Thanksgiving football with one word: turducken. For those wondering what I just said, it is a chicken stuffed in a duck, then stuffed into a turkey. And we're not saying he invented the dish, but he did popularize it. About 20 years ago, he tried one on air with his hands, and he loved it so much, he had one sent to his home for every Thanksgiving and Christmas. The word, right now, it's even in the dictionary. And if you want to watch the new documentary, All Madden, it's streaming right now on Peacock. And we'll leave you with a quote from him. "Self-praise is for losers. Be a winner. Stand for something. Always have class and be humble."